Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre, and I am doing this video with Globaland using their cutting dies from the graduation set and made these lovely earrings. And in this video, I will actually show you how I made these components to make these earrings. And of course, I'm not showing you how to make the drops in front because the sky's the limit as to what you could put in front, because that's why I showed two completely different styles here. However, I did find the best method of how to do the top part, and I do discuss that with you throughout the video. Now, there is one thing that you might want to change from what I did, because this was made, this little intro was made after I made the earrings, and as you can see, and the back, because the earrings do flip fairly easily because they're lightweight. Oh, excuse me. You might want to consider using like a matching color of cardstock, because, well, just because it might be better for you. Or if you're going to use the watercolor painting paper like I did, you know, consider watercoloring it interesting on the back so that it's kind of like dual-sided. I did experiment with the fabric on both sides, and I used its lightest gauge cardstock as I could, and the cutter could not 100% cut through the two layers of fabric. I ended up taking an X-Acto knife. So you could try that too, but you know, you'd end up using an X-Acto knife. But anyways, let's go on and I'll show you how I've got a new kitten in my house and she's mischievous, so that's what that noise is. Okay, so we're gonna move on, and these are the ones that we're going to make, so let's go on. Okay, so this was my first prototype I made, and so this is the component I made. Here, I should show you. I was playing around with some other wire wrapping I thought would be the top, but I didn't like the way it sat. So I thought the best way to use these was just using simple jump rings and an added thing on top, which would be, you know, nice and easy. So the most challenging part of these earrings is making the components. And now this was my first ones that I made. And what I did is I'm using quilting fabric. It's because it's thin and it's cotton, and fiber art is really in these days. So, but I noticed that, and I was gluing it together because this is what I had on hand. I glued it with the triple thick gloss glaze, but I think Mod Podge would work just as well, although it says it takes 24 hours to dry, and I didn't want to wait, so I came up with an idea. I have a hair straightener, and I put it through my hair straightener a few times, and I had it 100% dry within minutes. So I just had it on its lowest setting so I wouldn't scorch anything, and just slid it along the paper. And I would imagine you could dry it like that with just about any type of glue. And it ironed it flat. But I found, oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm using from Walmart the Canson XL watercolor paper because it's 140 pound. It's my heaviest paper I had in my house. So you can get that at Walmart. It's not expensive. It's more expensive than regular paper, but it's not expensive. Excuse me. So that's what I'm gluing the fabric to, and I'm just using jump rings and beads that would go with whatever, and quilting fabric that is cotton. Now, I'm going to give some examples of quilting fabric you could use. The busier, the better, because you're using something small. I thought these small polka dots would work. I have this aqua cloth. It's small. This is more of a denim look, so it would go great with blue jeans. And then what I did use was this because it's really busy. It's kind of got, oh, spattered look to it, I guess. And it does look good on it, especially the small ones. The larger ones would look good with this fabric with tiny little flowers on it. And then the classic black and white, I thought the zebra type stripe would look good on a bigger one, as well as a design like this. So just giving you a couple of ideas. You know, the sky's the limit with fabric you can find. And so I'm using, of course, the graduation set of, like I said in my package opening, the graduation package of cutting dies. There we go. My words don't want to come out. And I already broke out, or cut out. Oh my goodness. I should have opened it ahead of time. There we go. It's sticky. So I was thinking today of doing one with the next larger size, because let's see, if we did these, they get longer too. But I wanted you, the first one I had a really hard time getting out, and I probably should have started with the biggest one and worked smaller. So that's just because you almost have to snap it off. See, that wasn't so bad. I really struggled getting the small one out. So I'm going to go like that. And then you need to figure out a storage system so you don't lose your pieces. Yes, much easier when you do that. Oh yeah, and then it's just one from there on. Okay, so that was easy. I had a really hard time. Okay, so that's not so bad. And then I'm going to try and break this off, but I'm going to grab my pliers so I don't hurt my fingers and snap that off as well. It feels like it's kind of, well, it's a brittle metal. Okay, so, and then I would make sure, well, that part I don't have to, you have to make sure that it's not facing into the cutting, that it'll wreck your project either. So be nice to, there, that worked out well. Okay, see, I used snips and I cut, so yours will be longer. But okay, so anyways, let's move on. So what I plan to do is I'm going to describe to you what I'm going to do, and so that you don't, because I don't think I can make the camera watch what I'm doing, but I wanted to, so no, let's move on. I'm going to cut out the fabric, then I'm going to glue it on with this. Then I'm going to use my straightener to make it dry fast. Then I'm going to put it between my glass, but I will show you that. Let's just get this part done first, and I'll take a snapshot after each step. Hey, I just thought of this. A good way to find out if you like a fabric for your thing is just take the frame and put it over, and then you can see what it looks like. See, that's pretty cool. They are long. You might want to, we can physically cut it at the end if you've got good sharp scissors too. See, that looks pretty cool. Okay, I was planning on doing the denim today. So that's what my step for now. Okay, so I cut enough fabric to make 4 pieces. Okay, so I was generous, gave myself a little bit of wiggle room. Next step is gluing. Okay, so I've got glue on here, and I didn't do around the edges because I was trying to be neat. Now I'm going to put it over onto the paper like that, and I'm going to just flatten it with my fingers, and it'll smooth out the glue. Now that stuff is quite thick. So if you're buying the glue, you want something that it says it will do cardboard, or I mean fabric and paper as both of the options, because they're both porous items. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the paper around it away, and then I'm going to dry it with my flat iron hair straightener. Okay, I just wanted to mention, as I was cutting it out, it started and this now it reminds me as to why I thought of my hair straightener, because the wetness bends the paper, warps the paper, and I'm going, oh, my hair straightener will fix that. And I'm going, I bet you it'll dry it at the same time. And I've got some bumps here. I'm just going to flash them out. There. Now off to the straightener. Okay, I'm back. That took about 5 minutes, and I did notice a difference in quality in this fabric. The other fabric, this one and the purple one, I bought at Fabricland, and it was higher quality, higher thread count, obviously. This was bought from Walmart. It still works, but I did notice that the glue came through a little bit when I was using my iron, but you know what? It comes right off the iron, so nothing to worry about. Just so you know that could happen. And see, and it made a mess on the back because I obviously flipped it while it was still wet. But anyways, moving forward, the next step is to use the cutting die. Now, you can only use one at a time. It'd be nice to have 2 sets, because then you'd have 2 of each, and you could cut 2 at a time when you're making your items. And I just wanted to show you what I do for my cutting die machine. The first few times I used it, I noticed that it wrecks the machine every time you use it. So then I Googled, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one, but you know the sewing pads that you cut fabric on? I cut a piece, and it's saves my plastic. So I have the big sister, so it's quite adjustable. You might not be able to do this with your cutting machine. That's up to you. I did Google, because I bought mine off of Amazon in Canada, and it's not available right now. So anyways, if you Googled big sister cutting machines, that's the machine I have. And but I mean, if you can do that, by all means give it a try. If you can't, well, then that's just part of your machine. Okay, so I'm off to cut. I'm going to cut 2 pieces out to do the video. I will do 2 pieces later. Oh, one more thing. When I put it in the machine, you have to do the pattern part down towards the fabric. And in my machine, you have it sit upwards like this between the pads, and the cutting part. Actually, no, this is how I have to put it. I have to do it so that it's at the bottom. I put it on top like this, and then these mats on top of that, because that way the cutting parts go up to the green. And that's how my machine works. Every machine has different instructions, and that's just how mine works. I'll be back with 2 cut. Okay, so I've cut out 2, and I just wanted you to see what it looked like as I'm taking it out of the machine. So I just lift this up. And I should let you know that I run it through the machine back and forth 4 times, which actually is doing the cutting process 8 times. And that's just to make sure that it does get through all the way. And I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but you see how it's got the threading embossing part on there? That actually compresses the edges really nice and makes it so that the fabric adheres better. Now, you see, even doing it 8 times, it didn't completely cut out the paper. So I'm just going to see if I can, there we go. That wasn't too bad. And I'm going to actually take my snips and take that last bit off completely, like that. And there, that's done. This one cut. Now I'm wondering if maybe it was slightly damp. It doesn't feel damp, but that would interfere with the cutting process. Now, another thing, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I don't think I did. This was my first batch. Whoops, this was my first batch. And I found them a little bit flimsy. And that's why I'm using the 140-pound paper. Now, if you just have normal cardstock, what I would recommend you doing is cut out, for a set, cut out of your cardstock, cut out 2 pieces, just paper, and then glue this to just one paper, and then cut it out, dry it and cut it out, and then take the second set and glue them on onto there. And I would definitely use something like Mod Podge to do the gluing, or something that's not going to warp the paper. If it does warp the paper, then you're going to take the curling iron again and just straighten it. Because believe it or not, the hair, well, I should say hair straightener, not curling iron. I always call it a curling iron. Okay, so that's what you need to do. The next step is, because it was flimsy, this one's not. This one's nice and firm, and what I did is I used a clear coat on it. This is Rust-Oleum. You could use whichever clear coat you would want. It's basically a spray-on lacquer. Does it say lacquer? It just says clear. Clear coverage. It also bonds to plastic. So it bonds, it seals, it protects. So what it's doing is, the main reason, besides stiffening it, okay, the main reason I wanted to make sure that the paper would stay clean and the fabric would stay clean for when you're wearing the earrings. And beautiful bonus, it really strengthened it. It seals the fabric down really nicely. Although with the texture look, if it starts to fray, you know, that's going to be the in thing anyways, but it won't be like that from the get-go. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lacquer it. And now that's because I'm doing 2 coats on each side. It might take me half an hour to I'd say half hour to an hour max, because it dries really fast. It might even be faster than that. Okay, so I'll be back when that's done. Okay, so I'm back, and I've been a busy little beaver while I've been gone. I decided, well, I finished the pieces. I sprayed them. They're dry. I did a few coats. Wherever the glue went through, it went shiny. So I would, next time I'm going to try Mod Podge and see if it's better. I'll do a thinner layer next time. But the spray paint, I still, the gloss, I mean, I still like that, how it stiffens it. It's nice and stiff, and it's going to give it some protection. Just so you know, it doesn't have a shiny coat on the back at all. The paper just absorbs it all, but it really makes the paper nice and stiff. And it will have especially on the edges where it's been pushed together, it gets shinier there, and it takes longer to dry there. But you can start working on it. I did it outside in the sun, so it's a good summertime project, because the smell of the spray, of course. But it dried within, I could do my coats like in 10 seconds apart. So it was really, really super fast, as long as you don't spray too much. And so anyways, I got that. So the plan is always to put something in front of it because it's lightweight. And the sky's the limit. So I finished up my other pair of really ones, the ones that turned out better of the other ones. And basically the same design, except for I made them this chain and the element a little bit longer. And for these ones, you know, just to show that you can make it different, I'm doing little hearts on chains. And then what you do need is a jump ring big enough that the cardboard can go into comfortably. This one might be a little bit too big, but I made these jump rings, so you could always buy your jump rings. I used the smallest size for the jump ring that goes close to the hole, and that's going to hold the chain. And I used the yes, this is the smallest. There's the second smallest. There's the third smallest. That's what I used to make the jump rings for there. So it just needs to be big enough to hold that in. These are plenty big enough. And then you need a little element to go above it, and because they're so long, you want it fairly small. So I just did a 4mm bicone with the wire, just a loop on each end, really simple. And then I did chain to hold my hearts. So I'm just going to assemble it and then show you the finished product. Well, I have them all assembled, and I think they turned out really, really, really nice. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how they have lots of movement. I like the way the hearts turned out. I mean, you could go with just one heart too, or, you know, whatever bead. You could do beads, whatever kind of beads. You could do just dangles of bicones, and I think it would look pretty. So the sky's the limit is what you could do. It's kind of like a backdrop, and you know, these cutting dies are just fantastic. And I'm going to be keeping my eye out for other cutting dies that will make wonderful earrings too. So anyways, thank you for joining me, and please hit the like button and subscribe, and consider joining my subscriptions to keep my channel running smoothly. Okay, well, God bless and take care. See you in the next one.